Good evening and welcome to the Celtic Way pre-match Champions League night. Feyenoord versus Celtic. I'm Tony Haggerty at Haggerty10 on the X handle, and I'm joined by Ryan McGinlay at the Ryan McGinlay on the X handle. Long time no speak, Ryan.
Long time no speak. What's it been? A couple of hours? Yeah, me and you were in person today. You know, you can't get sick of the sight of each other. That's for sure. Yeah, delighted to be back talking about the game. You know, at the end of the day, Celtic are playing. Exciting times, exciting team to talk about. So I'm guessing we'll get straight into it.
Yep, and as you can see on a strapline running along the bottom, it's the Celtic team, and I'll just go through that with you. And the second Celtic team to face Feyenoord, and to keep the cope, whatever you call it. I don't know. It changes from day to day, doesn't it? It's Joe Hart in goal, Alistair Johnston at right back, Gustav Lagerbielke and Liam Scales in the middle of the defence. Nat Phillips didn't make it. Greg Taylor left back, Callum McGregor, Rio Hatate, Maeda and O'Reilly in kind of midfield, and Palma, Kyogo as well. More or less what we said, except for Nat Phillips, wasn't it, Ryan? I think both of us had Nat Phillips in for
10 out of 11.
10 out of 11, yeah. So we weren't too bad. And Nat Phillips, the story broke late last night about him being possibly a doubt. So, yeah, we probably would have got it right had Nat Phillips been fit. He might have slotted in there. But are you happy with that side? And on the bench, we've got Scott Bain, Joe Morrison, Yang, David Turnbull, Odin Thiago Holm, Tomoki Iwata, Paulo Bernardo, James Forrest and Anthony Ralston. Strong enough team for you, Ryan? Strongest team you could have put out?
It is the strongest team that they probably could put out when you look at the players that are available to them. Obviously, we would prefer to have Nat Phillips in there. You know, his European experience. I was watching the game just there. It was the San Siro, Newcastle v Milan. I'm sure he played Milan in the San Siro as well. It would have been great to have him in the keep, but obviously he hasn't made it. Great news regarding two players in particular. Lewis Palmer, who gets his first start for Celtic, shows that he's making an impression in training. Otherwise, it probably would have been Yang that was put in that position. Therefore, It's showing that he is doing what is required of him. These are the games I tweeted out a couple of minutes ago, saying these are the games that Lewis Palmer is desperate to play in. This is why he signed on the dotted line. He's desperate to make an impact and make an impact on the grandest stage of them all, and he'll get that opportunity tonight. And then the same goes for a player like Rio Hatate, who's just came back from injury. You know, there was a lot of grumblings when he was named on the bench. That isn't the case tonight. It's very much like we thought. We thought he would be getting a start tonight, and it seems that will be the case, or it definitely will be the case now. We've seen the team. We know he's starting. It's a very good developments seeing those two players in their own team. But, you know, the usual suspects are already in there. You know, you've got your Kyogo, you've got guys in Maeda, the dependable players. But it's good that we've got more players to call upon, such as Rio Hatate, and the new signings, such as Lewis Palmer, with plenty of firepower on the bench to supplement that.
Yes, now the major talking point is that Nat Phillips kind of centre-back injury jinx has struck again. Nat Phillips ruled out for this one. It's an incredible tale of woe and bad luck, isn't it? I would have thought Nat Phillips would have played had he been fit, but lots of people saying hopefully that Liam Scales can step up to the plate again and have a kind of performance that he did at Ibrox. I have no qualms about Scales playing in there. He's got used to it over the past few games. So we will see what transpires, Ryan. But are you worried about the fact that it's Liam Scales and not Nat Phillips?
Not really as such. I think Nat Phillips is obviously a better defender than Liam Scales, but they both have the same sort of remit to do, the same job to do. There will be a lot of backs against the wall defending, you would assume, especially with how Arne Slot sets up his Feyenoord team. They're going to be a team going for attack, especially at home. You know, I've got no doubts they would do that away from home, but even more so in their home stadium. They're going to come out and look for goals in this game. You know, it's pot 1 v pot 4 at the end of the day. Celtic have got to make that irrelevant and show that shocks can happen. You know, Feyenoord are the favourites in this group, or they are the favourites in this match, but anything can happen on a Champions League night. Brendan Rodgers is an elite level manager. We'll see how he can conjure up some magic, see if we can conjure up some magic, as well as our main man up front. You know, we talk about this duck that needs to be broken. Oh, breaking ducks in this place, but yeah, It's a record that needs to go. I think if Kyogo's in the mood and he gets one opportunity, you're hoping he can take it. He might only get one opportunity in the match, but you're just hoping if it does come along to him, he takes it.
Yep. 130 odd people joining us live on the broadcast as we speak, so thank you for that. Appreciate that. I'll read some comments out as well. John McGlinchey saying Phillips not even on the bench. It's unbelievable what's happening to Celtic centre halves. It is, John, you're right. Good evening to you. Good evening, Hazel. How you doing? Couldn't make this up. Another centre back injured. Should be covered though. Thomas Gallagher saying hopefully Scales plays like he played at Ibrox. Yep, I think we just covered that there, kind of spoken about that. No qualms about him being there. Jason Lee, he said he would rather see Yang start ahead of Lewis Palmer. Palmer didn't look all that fit, he said on Saturday. Hazel Finn also saying she would have started with Yang, but hope Palmer makes her eat her words. And Sam Hartley coming in. Evening, Sam, how you doing? Pity about Nat Phillips. And Conor O'Brien coming in and saying he's happy with Scales. He believes he can step up his game some more. So lots of comments there. Ryan about Celtic starting 11, but with the exception of Nat Phillips, probably the strongest that Celtic could have gone, eh?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say, even though we've only seen about 20-25 minutes of Lewis Palmer so far, I thought he showed more in that cameo than Yang did in his 60 minutes. I know Yang endeavoured and tried his hardest to make things happen. Not everything came off for him. A lot of his passes went astray. You've seen that in the numbers and the percentages of his pass. His pass percentages weren't too great after the Dundee game, but Palmer came on, tried to make an impact, and I know there was mentions of Palmer not being fit or not looking fit enough. There's only one way to get fit, and that's by playing games and getting used to the style. And the only way to do that is by playing matches. So I'm all for it. 60 minutes, give him 50, 60 minutes. If it isn't working, then you can bring Yang on and revert Maeda back to his usual position on the left. If he is playing at that side, there could be a mixture. But yeah, I think Palmer's got to play. You spent good money for him. It's time to see him in the team, and you're just hoping he can make the difference on the night.
Yeah, and also we were pointing out this morning that he is meant to be this dead ball free kick specialist. So I think he's there for a reason. And at Celtic,
that's massive away from home.
Yeah, Celtic might try and grab some territorial advantage, and if anything, in and around the box, 20, 25 yards, possibly even 30 yards, then I would let him have a ping at it, Ryan, and see what he's got in his locker, because it could be a potent weapon and if used properly. And I wouldn't put it past him we were saying we were disappointed that he never took the free kick that Kyogo slammed into the wall against Dundee on Saturday. It would have been ideal to see that proof in the pudding there, but hopefully he's maybe saved it for tonight, Ryan.
Take that, yeah, absolutely. And his first start, get your first goal, get yourself off and running in the Celtic team. What better place to do it than in the Champions League? The ultimate playing ground, the ultimate competition, especially in club football. Anyway, I know people can debate about the Euros and the World Cup, obviously, but I think the Champions League is where it's at. Every year, players hope to play in the Champions League. It is the elite level. It's the top of the top. This is the reason why Palmer would have joined Celtic. He wouldn't have got this at Aris. He maybe would have got Conference League or Europa League. I don't think he'd be getting Champions League, because you're not going to separate Panathinaikos and Olympiacos, that's for sure, or PAOK as well, PAOK. So this is why he moved. This is why he's made this step to Scotland. 6 really, really big games for him to show what he's all about. And I believe he's got all the ability in the world to make the difference. In the short time that we've seen him, plus the clips that we'd seen of him before he joined, he's got a bit of magic in those boots. Let's see it tonight. Why not? I'm all for. I know some fans are quite pessimistic going into games like this, but why be pessimistic when we've not even seen what's happened yet? Celtic could play a stormer. Feyenoord can be off their game. We don't know how it's going to transpire until it transpires. So let's go in for a bit of optimism. Let's see what we can do against, admittedly, a very, very good side with a very, very good manager. But Celtic are a good side with a good manager as well. Let's see who's better on the night.
Yep, and I think this is a competition which does strange things to Celtic and their players. They have been known to rise
positive
to the
and negative.
Yeah, positive. Yeah, correct, exactly. But I was choosing more to focus on the positive, Ryan. and Sons of Scotland's a man after my own heart. The boys need to stand in that tunnel, stick their chest out, cross that white line, and fight for each other for 90 minutes. And what will be exactly that's all you can ask for. But I ask that they do that from the start of this game. Just give it their all, and if they come up short, so be it. But come off that park, as they always say, with no regrets, and try and win your individual battles. There's a game plan there. The manager will have you well drilled, so stick to that, and hopefully they can. You said it would be a major shock if Celtic win tonight, because it's a pot 4 against pot 1. I get it in that sense, but I still think Celtic can be fiercely competitive in this group, and I think I'm looking forward to seeing them have a rip at it against Feyenoord in match day 1. But so lots of pessimism abounding, Ryan, about Celtic's chances. Yes, Feyenoord are a good side. They're the Dutch champions. We get that, but I agree with you entirely. Celtic are a good side themselves. They have players that can hurt Feyenoord given the chance. The players that have been scoring the vast majority of Feyenoord's goals aren't playing tonight, or certainly one of them isn't, Santiago Jimenez. So you've got to, it's all those small margins, isn't it? You've got to use them to your advantage, and hopefully Rio Hatate comes back in and shows people why there's interest in him, and he steps up to the plate and earns that big move that he clearly thinks he might be worth in the fullness of time. Well, go and earn it. Go and do it. This is your stage. This is your platform. And
this is the audition.
And Kyogo to get off the mark in the Champions League. I want it for him more than anything else. And then maybe relax on it a bit. And you want your goalkeeper to just keep doing what he's been doing since the start of the season. And you have areas in the park where you can get some joy. Matt O'Reilly's been pretty imperious since the start of the season. So why not? This is a stage. Go and show you deserve to be there. You're there on merit, and they need 11 players to really pull together and produce the goods tonight. And I don't have any qualms about them doing that. I'm not pessimistic at all.
Yeah, and it's the best way to be, because you can always correct yourself at the end of the match if it doesn't exactly go to plan. But at this moment in time, you get every reason to be confident. They're in the Champions League. Anything can happen in the Champions League, as you said. It does strange things to people and to teams in general. But I think there's a couple of things that need to go Celtic's way. I think if Feyenoord play to the best of our abilities, it's going to be a long night for Celtic. I think that's just honest, because they are a good team. And if they play to the top of their ability, then, things will happen positively for them. So I think maybe, Feyenoord maybe aren't at their top levels, and Celtic are at their top levels, then a great result could be on the cards. But Celtic are going to have to be really, really resolute, especially in the first half an hour, 45 minutes especially. That first half, they've got to gauge the game. Can't allow too many early goals. If they're going to concede one, just concede the one rather than 2 or 3. They can't be in wee blips that we were talking about today. We're talking about how Celtic concede goals in blips and in wee periods during games. They can maybe concede 2 or 3 in about a 10-15 minute spell, and that can just kill you in a European setting. You'll never win a game, or you'll never get anything out of a game if you concede that amount of goals. So they need to be smart. They need to be resolute, then take their chances when they come, whether that be through good play, through a counter-attack, through a mistake by the opposition and their pressing. But you never know, and the longer that Celtic keep it tight and keep it going, the better chance they'll have of nicking something maybe at the end. Or it could go the other way and Celtic win. It's all up in the air at the moment. We'll see. We'll see how it goes, but yeah, I'm joining you in your optimism at this point in time. I've looked at the team. I've seen Hatate in that team. I've seen Luis Palma in that team, and yeah, it's given me cause for optimism. So I'm going to stay optimistic until I see something that will give me the opposite feeling.
John Clements makes a good point. No bloomers, please. No gifts. Make Feyenoord work for everything and stick away your chances, Celtic, please. And I think that's a big thing that Celtic usually. We were talking about it today in the office that Celtic always have to work hard whenever they score goals in Europe, yet they give away gifts, don't they? They give away bread and butter type goals. in European football. And as you mentioned there, sometimes they come in clusters, and it's done for Celtic before. So, but here's hoping that lessons have been learned and Celtic can take the game to them and enforce their style of football on Feyenoord. And I think they'll be pleasantly surprised. I think there's a whiff of arrogance emanating from the Dutch camp, writing off Celtic, and I think it's the worst thing you could possibly do, write off any Celtic team at any stage in any competition, and I think that will have permeated through to the Celtic ranks in the dressing room, and and I agree with Sons of Scotland, puff that chest out and go out there and play for the crowd, show up, play for that badge, and show that you belong there. Show that you're there, as I say, on merit. You're there, and you're the Scottish champions. Go out and show why, because you are a good football team, and I know Feyenoord are a good football team. I know they've got an up and coming manager. Get all that, but I just think you've got to embrace this competition from the get go. And if Celtic can embrace this competition and really show that they've learned some lessons from last year, then yep, that's my reasons for optimism. I think lessons will have been learned last season from last season. Sorry, the guys know the levels that they're up against. They know what they have to do when those chances come along. They can't go a begging. It can't be a tale of missed chances. It can't be, they were in it for half an hour but never capitalised when they were on top. It can't be like that. They have to be more cold and calculated and clinical. And I think Celtic have got players now who'll be all the better for that experience last year. They know the terrain, just the venues are changing, but the calibre of teams doesn't. So, let's go for it from the get-go. And I see no reason. I'll let you know at 10 o'clock-ish tonight, and Marquee coming in. Definitely, Tony, give it a proper go. Managerial, tactical players performing in it to win it. Correct. Why wouldn't you? And there's a lot of players who must have learned something from last season. The experience. Go and show us what you've learned and give us a performance to be proud of, so that we're sitting here afterwards and we say, wow, what about that? That's what I want, certainly.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest players tonight could, in terms of an out ball, because Celtic will need to counter attack. You'll see Feyenoord with a lot of the ball, and when the ball does break to Celtic's attacking players, there's players that have got to make the difference. I'm just thinking within the first 10 minutes, we'll know whether or not that will be Daizen Maeda or not, because that's just the way that he plays. I think Samaras was quite similar in the way before him. You knew within 10 minutes what Samaras you were getting. Similarly, I think within the first 10 minutes what Daizen Maeda you'll get. Now, the one at the weekend was pretty good. He was arguably Celtic's best player in the first half. He scored a goal that was very unfortunately ruled offside due to VAR, but a well-taken goal. He was the one trying to make things happen for Celtic in the first half. You're hoping that if he can bring that form into the game against Feyenoord won't play against players like Daizen Maeda too often. Ones that will press, ones that will be willing to put in the hard yards and just run for 90 minutes or 60 minutes or however he's on the pitch. He's got to be running and hoping that those defenders make a mistake. He's going to keep on going. Even if 9 times out of 10 he doesn't get the ball, that 1 out of 10 time that he does win the ball off the defender, he'll keep on going because of that. We need that attitude tonight.
The defensive trio are important. I mentioned it this morning. They have to work the channels. They have to give the defence a break, because the Feyenoord could come on strong. And these guys, they can't give away cheap possession. It can't go up there and then straight back. They have to hold it. They have to play other guys, and they have to look for midfield runners, and they have to do that job resolutely. And also, you want them to be as clinical as possible when the ball falls to them in the box, in and around the penalty area. It has to be, everybody has to be on the top of the game, but the front three especially, they have to be able to take it for a walk, give people a breather, play guys in, as I say, get territory as well, win free kicks, see what Lewis Palmer can do from dead balls, that kind of stuff. You have to be clever tonight, really, really clever, tactically, really tactically switched on, show a wee bit of nous, and 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 above and beyond doing the job that you're out there to do as well, because running around is a prerequisite. We know you're going to knock your pan in, and that's the bare minimum. But yet, you have to play with the heart as well, but also the head. This is a time for cool heads and not just expound energy for the sake of it. And when you're running around, but you have to really plan this, and I'm sure the manager has told them that and drummed it into them and been methodical about the way he wants to play tonight. But everybody has a job to do tonight, but the forwards especially are the forward thinking players or attack-minded players. They've got a huge job tonight, a really, really big job, and that's where the game could be won and lost.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I think the front three have also got to be the first defenders on the park as well. They've got to cut out possession from the opposition's defenders. If they can defend that, then they might have joy on the night. Everybody's got to play. Nobody can have an off game tonight. It's just Feyenoord are too good for that. They will exploit you if a player is having an off night and he's maybe not playing against the team, but his actions are hurting the team in the process. If there's somebody that's not on it, then they will pick on that and they will pick apart weaknesses. They are a good team in that regard. There's a reason why Arne Slot is already getting linked with the Chelsea job 5 weeks into the season. It's because he's a top manager and he's going to be a top manager. I think this is the big moment for Feyenoord. I think Feyenoord want to make themselves as one of these emerging teams in Europe. We've heard conflicting reports as to what Dutch football is turning into with regard to a top 5 league. We heard one person say that it was, and one person maybe saying that wasn't the case. But what is the case is that it is an improving league. Whether it's at the top 5 level yet, that's a question for another day. But they will be a strong team. We did see a strong team play Rangers in PSV. Feyenoord beat them in the league last season, so they've definitely got something about them. It's going to be interesting to see how Celtic balance that. But they were in the game for large amounts against probably a better team in Red Bull Leipzig and RB Leipzig as well. If they can play that with cutting out the silly mistakes that they made on that night, they play their football the way that we know that they can, then they've got a chance. But all 11 men and the subs that are playing have got to stand up and be counted for, basically.
Yeah, over 230 people joining us live. Thanks a lot, guys. Hope you're enjoying the content and you're like myself and Ryan, just eagerly buzzing and anticipating this kickoff tonight. It's I love the Champions League. No tournament like it. When you're not in it, it just loses its appeal altogether. But when you're in it, it's just there are no better nights. Home and away. And I say the games will take care of themselves. But I just want Celtic to go in there from the get-go and have a real go at it and see where the chips fall and see where they land. And I've got every confidence in the team tonight that they'll give us a performance. That's Paddy just knocked the light down that shines from. Thank you for that, Paddy. Dogs, who'd have them? But there you go. Yes, but no, I can't wait for kickoff. Just want to see how they shape up, how both teams shape up.
45 minutes.
Yeah, and I go back to it. I know Feyenoord are a good side, they're an emerging side, and I know the manager, Arne Slot, is an emerging manager, but this doesn't frighten me, Ryan. I say bring it on. I might have a different attitude come 10 o'clock at night, but bring it on, sir. It's the Champions League. I'll go all Claudio Ranieri on you. Dilly ding, dilly dong. It's the Champions League, man. Come on. You just hope Celtic have that attitude.
This is the reason.
Yeah.
This is why Celtic celebrate so much when they win the league, because they know that we've got that instant qualification for the Champions League. And then we spend the rest of the time being buzzing up until about a week before it. And then everybody's all pessimistic about it. No, let's keep the one going. Let's be optimistic. Regardless of what happens, Celtic are at the top table once again. This is the second year in a row. There was a good few years where Celtic weren't at the top table. They had to ply their trade in the Europa League, which, there was some good results in that. It's not the Champions League. It's not the elite level. Now Celtic are at the elite level with an elite manager. Let's see what they can do.
I'm agreeing with Bush 79. It's not Real Madrid in the Bernabeu. It's certainly not. And Thomas Gallagher Celtic feared no one, get into them from the first whistle. Celtic and Sunday Scotland saying Tony, they've earned the right to be there. I keep saying that. That's exactly what I'm saying. Celtic are there on merit, just as Feyenoord are, just as Real Madrid are, and all these clubs. So you've got to just embrace it, enjoy the experience. These players, and I just think if everything's a learning curve, then Celtic must have learnt something. Those players that played in the tournament last season will have learned a lot. This is when I think you can judge these players, because a lot of them, it was their first taste of Champions League football last year, and it didn't go to plan. 2 points out of 18. We get all that. People were saying that group was doable. Turned out that it wasn't. But I think if your knowledge is expanding as a footballer, then you will have learned so much from last season, all the things not to do. And you've got a manager who's been there, seen it and done it. And if you listen to him, he's a bit of a tactician, and he's also just he likes to put his arm around players and talk them through things. And he will no doubt have come up with a game plan, which if Celtic execute it, then we'll see what happens. But they have to execute it. No passengers, Ryan. We can't carry any players. Every player, I'm going to say the old-fashioned, from 1 to 11. I know squad numbers are the end thing, but from 1 to 11 tonight, they have to, as you say, stand up and be counted, step up to the plate, puff your chest out and say, let's have it. Let's have a bit of this Champions League. Don't care if it's away from home. Doesn't matter who they're playing. Let's have it straight from the start and see where it takes us. And I think Celtic will pleasantly surprise a lot of people tonight.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. I'm feeling optimistic just now. That might be false optimism, but at the same time, it's the Champions League. It's what we've been waiting for. Tuesday night under the lights. Let's see what we can do. Good team we're facing, but Celtic are a good team too. Let's see who comes out on top between the two good teams.
Speaking of lights, I'll try and fix this light that Paddy's kindly dropped on the floor. But hey, it is what it is. But yeah, that's what are we? 7:30, half an hour to kick off. Is the excitement building, Ryan's attention building?
Not the tension, I think it's more excitement, to be honest, about the game. I've been looking forward to it all day. Been working obviously during the day as well, but once you get to the game, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like you're just spectating the game, looking forward to seeing what happens. Win, lose or draw, Celtic are in the Champions League, and the world's a better place because of it, because Celtic bring the X factor, I think, when they're in. They're a cup winner. They've won the European Cup before. They'll always be known as that, as a European champion. Whenever Celtic do face off against anybody that is mentioned. This was a final in 1970. I'm not talking about revenge because it was 52 years ago, 53 years rather. 53 years ago. But, two teams that get on with each other, but maybe for the 90 minutes they won't get on. Let's see what happens between the two sides.
Jezebel saying Ryan's shaking with optimism there. Ryan, are you shaking with optimism?
Just a slight movement. You need to keep going. But I'm excited.
Leanne Booth, Kyogo scores the chances, he gets the win. There you go. You heard it here first. Thank you for that, Leanne. As I say, it's half an hour to kick off. We've just short of half an hour on the pre-match build-up. We'll let everybody go away and flick the kettle on or do what you do prior to watching Celtic. But Celtic are back in the Champions League, Ryan. Feyenoord, Celtic, and the keep in Rotterdam and Holland. A repeat of the 1970 European Cup final, as you said, between the two teams. Don't want a repeat of the scoreline. Don't want to talk about revenge missions and all that kind of stuff. But before we go, Ryan, will we give a prediction? Do you want to give a prediction? Did you give a prediction the other day?
I didn't give a prediction. No, I haven't given a prediction yet. Right now, I'm going to go for 2 each.
Oh, you stole my thunder. I fancy 2 each as well. Yeah.
We can both go for it then. That's fine. Do you know we can do smart minds think alike if that's the case.
And Phil seldom differ. That one as well.
That's
yeah.
it, absolutely. Oh, do you know it works either way?
It does. Correct. Anyone else want to throw in their prediction? 2-1 says Scott McGill, even giving us scorers Kyogo and Palmer. There you go, Scott. We'd take that in a heartbeat right now. And I saw another prediction there. Who was it? Let me try to flick it up. These things go for it. David Holmes says 1 each. Yep. 1-0 Celtic. Settle for that just now, says Ryan McGinlay. Kaiser, ever the optimist. 3-1 to Celtic. There you go. That would be a wonderful scoreline. Timonon 2 each. O'Reilly and Kyogo on the score sheet. 3-2 to Celtic, says Conor O'Brien. William Brammer saying 3-2 to Celtic as well. And Jerry Smith, one more than Feyenoord will do for him. It will do for us all. Hazel Finn, 2-0 to Celtic. But there you go. So Sam Harty, I'd take a draw, he says. Yep, a lot of people feel the same, Sam. Sons of Scotland, score draw he'd be happy with. It's the importance of getting something on your travels. That's it. Celtic have found that out to their cost in these kind of group situations before. We spoke about that this morning, the very first Champions League group stage under Martin O'Neill. But there you go. Well, hopefully Kyogo can get off the mark, Ryan, in the Champions League group stage proper. We are willing him to do that. We shall reconvene after the game, guys. We'll try and be on as quick as we can after the game. We'll let you know near the time when that will be, but we hope you can join us. Around about 240, 250 people, Ryan, joining us on the live stream. So thank you so much for that. We always try and read your comments out as well. So here's hoping we could all give Celtic a bit of luck tonight. But Champions League Group E starts tonight. Feyenoord Celtic. Less than half an hour to go to kick off. Enjoy. It's always result dependent, isn't it? I always say that. But we'll be back, whatever happens. Win, lose or draw, we'll be back on to talk about it. Hope you can join us as well. Take care. All the best.
Cheers, guys.